Okay, you made another comment saying we have to have light rail train running to the stadium. Why?
I'm obviously, as someone who spent many hours trying to expose the Hiawatha light rail boondoggle, I learned a tremendous amount about transportation, public transit, and again, it is just such a fallacy. It is just a total waste of money. And let me just comment, connect the two, the stadium and the light rail. The one thing...
Two boondoggles.
Well, exactly. But the thing is, if the taxpayers will pay for 30 years to pay off those bonds, Hennepin County sales tax increase, obviously, to pay off the bonds for the Twins' new ballpark. And by the way, 30% of all sales taxes collected in the state of Minnesota are collected in Hennepin County. That's why they were able to make it a small sales tax increase versus the 0.5% sales tax they're talking about in Ramsey County for a Viking stadium. But the point is that at least once you build that stadium and obviously pay the bonds off over 30 years, there is not an ongoing subsidy to the Vikings or the Twins or the Gophers. So the difference between the light rail boondoggle and the stadium boondoggle is that we, as taxpayers, are paying millions, tens of millions of dollars to subsidize the light rail operation. In fact, in the last year, taxpayers paid over $300 million. I'm sorry, that's a biennial number. It says it's 2 years. That's $150 million a year of taxpayer money to subsidize public transit in Minneapolis-St. Paul.
That's ridiculous.
So, and obviously, as you know, many of us living in suburban communities, we have no transit service or a very minimal transit service at all. So now, as I said, when you consider $150 million of subsidies to operate that transit system, and when I would say to people, when somebody jumps on the bus or jumps on that light rail train, they put $1 or maybe $1.25 into the fare box, and you and I as taxpayers, we get to chip in. We get to chip in about $2 to $3 every time somebody jumps on the bus or the light rail train. So just think of it, folks. When you see that empty bus or empty light rail train going by, you're helping to subsidize all those empty seats. You're helping to subsidize all those people who have decided that they're going to relieve congestion by having us subsidize their transportation.
I'm convinced they wrap the light rail transit cars in those advertising so we can't tell the trains are empty.
Well,
I tell that to people.
It is very, very disheartening to stand on a corner. If you haven't done this recently, you should. Go stand on a corner in non-rush hour times and count how many empty or near empty buses or light rail cars go by, and then think about not only the hundreds of millions in the Central Corridor will cost $1 billion.
Over $1 billion.
And so, let alone, I mean, here's another thing, Sue, to mention about the Central Corridor. I wrote an op-ed, you can find that at taxpayersleague.org, about the clandestine plan that these people have put in place, and that is to drive down values of business. I mean, if you have nowhere for your customers to park, if they have to crawl over a 6-foot cyclone fence to try to get in the door of your business, how long do you think your customers are going to do that? They're going to find somewhere else to go. They're going to find another business that will provide the services. So they're driving businesses out. Business leaves, property value goes down. Then who comes in to buy the business? Government.
What a surprise.
The city of St. Paul has already purchased a number of businesses, a number of parcels where businesses have left. So they're driving out the businesses. They buy the property at a suppressed price, and then do what? They give it, or at reduced cost, provide it to the developer who's going to bring in, guess what? Transit-oriented development. So we get not only to subsidize, we get to pay for we get to pay the $1 billion to build the train. Then we get to subsidize the operation of the train, and then we get the special privilege as taxpayers to subsidize the redevelopment so that the developers can make money at our expense. It's just, I just wish that people would again take a serious look and forget about the liberal propaganda that says, oh, isn't this wonderful, isn't this nice, we're going to reduce congestion. I guarantee you that there has not been any congestion reduction because of the $750 million Hiawatha light rail line, and the only congestion, we will only cause more congestion by a train running every 2 to 3 minutes down University Avenue, in addition to driving out to business owners, in addition to making it far more hazardous for things, for example, University of Minnesota students trying to cross Washington Avenue.
Yeah, that's an accident waiting to happen. I want people to drive down University Avenue right now. I want them to drive down University Avenue and look at all those empty businesses that where, if they're still open, that have no customers in them, or look at the empty building. There are hundreds of them.
That's unconstitutional. That's cruel and unusual punishment to try to drive down University Avenue.
Okay, then I want them to walk down it, because as they're walking down it, I want them to look down into the ground, because if they look down into the ground, you know what they'll see? Streetcar rails that they are having to rip out from back in the 1940s and 50s, so that they can put in this new line that, you're exactly right, will do nothing to ease congestion.
You bring up a great point, the streetcars. I want to dispel this myth that again is perpetrated on many people about the disappearance of the streetcars. The streetcars disappeared for two reasons. Number one, as Mr. Polad actually owned the Twin City Rapid Transit operation. Yeah, Mr. Polad owned it, and he's a very astute businessman, or was a very astute businessman. And what happened is, when it was no longer profitable, he sold it to the government. So, number one, why we didn't have streetcars, or why streetcars went out of existence, is because they were not profitable. They were privately owned. They became unprofitable. Guess what? Unloaded on the government. The second thing is, the streetcars interfered with automobile transportation. Again, the streetcars constantly going back and forth meant it was very difficult to make right, left-hand turns. The little skinny tires could get caught in the streetcar tracks. There were all sorts of impediments that streetcars caused. And then, of course, as people began to move out of the central city, and of course the liberals want us all to live on top of one another again, stacked like cordwood. But aside from that, the point is that as the population moved out into suburban communities, no longer was the streetcar line
where we wanted to go.
A viable mode of transportation.
We want our freedom to drive our car where we want to go, when we want to go.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's so the idea that we're going to go back to a restrictive and a very rigid transportation system, fixed routes, fixed time schedules. That's not the way we live today. Mobility is what we enjoy. In other words, and it's not the love affair with "quote unquote" the automobile, that horrible, polluting, terrible fossil fuel burning machine. It's the mobility that our cars provide us, and the flexibility in terms of scheduling. Go pick up the kids at soccer practice, go to the dry cleaner, stop and run an errand, go on an appointment. The flexibility that the automobile gives us, that's why we as Americans prosper too. It's the mobility and the transportation system, the tremendous transportation system that we have in this country. Let's hope that we don't lose it through a few people propagandizing us that we have to live like cordwood, and we have to only ride on a fixed grid system, transportation system.
All right, Phil Krinky. Now, I know it's over like that. So if people want to find out more information about you, where would they go find more information?
Well, don't Google me because I've been in the media far too much. But I would encourage people to go to the taxpayersleague.org. Easy to find. We do weekly e-updates. You can sign
that are
up.
fabulous. I get them.
Thank you. You can sign up for those. Again, things that we're currently involved in doing. We have a television ad running about the state budget that you can see that there. Again, vast amount of information resources. So taxpayersleague.org, and it's been tremendous to be here with you. Great pleasure.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Well, we've run out of time. This has been Libertarian Viewpoint, the show that brings you the non-government solutions, liberty-based solutions that we rarely hear about. Libertarians feel that liberty does work and that liberty is always the best choice. I also challenge anyone in government to prove to me that there is a government solution that has worked where a liberty-based solution did not. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for other shows of Libertarian Viewpoint.